The South African Federation of Trade Unions, that is Saftu, says it is petitioning others for a national strike if government goes ahead with its push for austerity measures. This is following claims of meetings where job and salary freezes were reportedly discussed as the government is fast running out of money, apparently. For more on this, let's speak to Saftu General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi. A very good evening to you, Mr. Vavi. Grateful for your time. So it appears that Treasury, for all intents and purposes, has set its sights on these job freezes and making sure that it brings the budget down in the public sector. Why do you think a strike will change its mind?
Well, the point that we want to communicate to your viewers and everybody listening is that we cannot afford any further austerity measures as the working class and the poorest of the poor in our country. Because, look, it's been 30 years of belt tightening. The belt is now right on the bone. There is no more a fat that they can cut in order to realize the objectives of further cutting and undermining the cost of living for both the workers. In fact, we want to also argue that not even the middle class and the small, medium, macro enterprises can afford any further belt tightening. It's not possible.
Right.
We already in a situation where the services, in particular the frontline services that the government must provide to the poorest of the poor, the working class, are already undermined by the previous measures that government has been undertaking. These suggestions we see linked strategically to communicate a message and to prepare us psychologically for further belt tightening is something that we reject in total. And in particular, we want to state the following. Any suggestion that the poor must pay another 2% more of VAT will be seen as a declaration of war by Saftu and hopefully every trade union federation, union, every working class formation, every progressive non-governmental organization, and every small, medium, macro enterprises. Because the VAT is regressive, it punishes the poor more. We will not accept an increase of the VAT when the government will be doing nothing about the corporate taxes that it has reduced from 52% at their peak pre-1994 and to currently 27%, when government will do nothing about the looting of its procurement budget, which goes between 35 and 40%, when it does nothing about the 300 to 400 billion rands that is moved out by the super rich from this economy into the safe havens, into the safe tax havens everywhere else in the world.
Okay,
when
so you're
it is
saying
doing nothing about the tax dodging schemes,
right, and
that the rich is embarking upon.
You are saying, of course, you don't want any sort of taxes at all which would disadvantage the poor, or any changes in job cuts or freezes of job cuts, because that too would disadvantage members of labor organizations such as yours. You've described that, in fact, as what you say would be a declaration of war. I wonder what a sustained response would be, because it's one thing to call for a national shutdown, let's say, that lasts a day, but are we looking here at a prolonged period of strikes? And if that does not work, because recent strikes haven't had overwhelming support, what else does Labour do?
That's what we're starting to consult upon and about with every other working class formation. We arrange meetings. Even this Saturday there will be a range of meetings that are beginning to take place to answer a question. We were in the streets on the 20th of March, together with political formations and many others who joined that very effective shutdown. But let's face it, we didn't stop the load shedding. We didn't stop job losses, even though the slight improvement in economic growth of 0.4 to 0.8%, that's nothing in the context of the depth of the crisis that we are facing. We didn't stop crime We didn't stop the looting of the resources by both the private sector and the connected political elites. We didn't stop many things that we have aimed to stop. But let's face it, when you are in a democracy, you use every tool in your hand to fight. The general strikes, the sit-ins, the demonstrations, the marches eventually work in favor of the progressive forces. Had we not embarked on the similar demonstrations in the past, believe me, the 7 million people that are currently on antiretrovirals would have died because the government would have just continued with their denialism.
But the situation appears to have changed, doesn't it? It appears to have changed because there was a time when Saftu, which was your previous home, was a once mighty federation where you had the ability to shut down several streets or cities at a time if you declared an industrial action. At this moment, it appears even workers themselves don't care to join some of the industrial action. So why would government take you seriously when they've seen that support for organized labor appears to be waning in this way?
The 20th of March national shutdown was a massive success. Why? Because Saftu have learned the lessons that it doesn't have the power. I hope that COSATU will eventually learn that it doesn't have the power that it used to have, and therefore it needs to join hands with other federations, with other political formations that are leaning to the left politically and ideologically, with the rest of other working class formations. Only when we are able to coordinate effectively and stop competing in our small corners and fighting in silos, factional and sectarian battles, only when we have a coordinated approach will we be listened to by the government. That's the message that we want to communicate to the rest of the working class today.
Do you get a sense that government is willing to listen?
We were in a meeting with the president, and it looks like he was quite keen to listen to criticism. And I felt that he was quite open to listen, because what does it do? The 30 years of neoliberalism, of privatization, and austerities that started in 2008 has produced only one result: more unemployment, more poverty, more inequality, more desperation on the part of the working class and the poor, and that everybody now can see that the ticking bomb continues to tick. And if you look at our towns, at our big cities, already they are all surrounded by fire of protest. We have become the protest capital in the entire world. There's no country with so many protest demonstrations everywhere else in the world. Surely that message is beginning to register home on the part of the president and the leadership of the country, that unless they change the tech, unless they accept that their neoliberal programs have simply not worked for them, instead, the government have become more unpopular, untrusted by the biggest segments of our population, and it is time for them to look at other options that may work. And we have options to put on the table. We are saying to the government, overall this economy, address the levels of poverty through a range of measures. Change your macroeconomic policies, in particular your fiscal and monetary policy. Address the landlessness of the population, the propertyless of the majority of the people, and take steps that will be seen to be stopping the bleeding of our manufacturing sector that is now half of what it used to be at the dawn of democracy. So we have asked them that they give us an opportunity to sit down with us over a longer period of time in a day to exchange concrete ideas we have that they have ignored for the past 30 years, and because they thought that their trickle-down economic policies will work, neoliberalism will work.
Okay.
We have always stated that those things are not going to work in a country with so much developmental deficits.
Zwelinzima Vavi, Saftu General Secretary, good to have your time as always. Thank you.